All right, you sick fucks, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to rip the mask off these superhero motherfuckers and see what's really underneath. You think you know Batman and Superman? Well, get ready for some shit that'll blow your goddamn mind. We've got mountains of research here, articles, weird-ass trivia, the whole 9 yards. And trust me, it's way more fucked up than you think.
Let's be honest, most people think superheroes are just for kids, right? But this shit's got history, legal battles, and some seriously messed up origins. It's a rabbit hole, man, a deep, dark rabbit hole.
Right, let's cut the crap. First question. Who the hell was patient zero for this whole superhero bullshit? Was it some jackass in a loincloth calling himself Captain Caveman?
Not even close. The idea is older than you might think. We can trace some early proto-superheroes back to the early 1900s, like the Scarlet Pimpernel. This dude was a masked Avenger with a secret identity back in 1903. And those pulp heroes, the Shadow Zorro, Flash Gordon, they were all rocking familiar superhero tropes in surprisingly early eras.
So basically, these guys were the OG badasses before Superman even took a shit.
Funny you should mention Superman, because here's where it gets really fucking weird. There was a Japanese superhero called Yugon Bat, who first appeared in 1931. That's before the Man of Steel even graced us with his presence.
What the fuck? Japan was ahead of the game? That's some serious mind-blowing shit right there. I always thought Superman was the granddaddy of all superheroes.
You and pretty much everyone else. But hold on, because this whole superhero thing gets even weirder. The word itself actually dates back to 1899.
No shit. 1899. They had superheroes back then. Were they like blacksmiths who were really good at making horseshoes? Superhero blacksmith sounds pretty lame.
It didn't mean the same thing back then. But get this. A fucking Halloween costume company was the first to trademark the word superhero.
A Halloween costume company? Those guys must have been high as fuck.
The kicker is, DC and Marvel, those two corporate titans, they actually jointly own the trademark now. Can you believe that shit? Rivals working together like they're best friends.
That's fucked up, man. It's like Coke and Pepsi suddenly deciding to share the trademark for soda. It just feels wrong somehow. Why the hell would they do that? Were they just tired of suing each other's asses off?
It's all about the Benjamins, my friend. They were both trying to register various trademarks with the word superhero, but they realized they could only do it if it was tied to their own characters or companies, so they decided to team up and become joint owners of the superhero trademark. Makes sense from a business perspective, but it's still a bizarre concept.
I guess those corporate suits are always looking for ways to screw over the little guy. But have they actually gone after anyone trying to use the word superhero? I bet they've got a whole legal team dedicated to shutting down anyone who dares to even whisper the word.
You're not wrong. They're pretty ruthless about protecting their brand. There was this poor British law student who wanted to publish a self-help book called Business Zero to Superhero. Guess what happened?
Those greedy bastards probably slapped him with a cease and desist so hard it knocked his teeth out. I mean, who the hell wants to read a book about becoming a superhero in business anyway? Sounds like some bullshit Tony Robbins seminar.
They tried to shut him down, claiming his book title would dilute their brands. They even offered him a few £1,000s to change the title. But this dude wasn't backing down. He fought back, and a few days before the hearing at the Intellectual Property Office in London, DC and Marvel backed down. Can you believe that shit?
Holy shit. So the little guy actually won. Good for him. I guess even corporate giants can be scared of a pissed-off law student. But wait, are they seriously trying to claim that nobody can use the word superhero at all? That's like saying you can't use the word car because Ford owns it.
A lot of people believe that superhero is generic now, like Kleenex. It's a word we all use, not just something specific to Marvel or DC. And you know what? In 2024, a company called Super Babies Limited actually succeeded in canceling some of those superhero trademarks. They won a default judgment and proved that the term was generic, except for the trademark related to animated pictures.
So basically anyone can run around calling themselves Captain Awesome or some other bullshit now. What a goddamn mess. Yeah. I bet those corporate lawyers are shitting their pants right now.
It's definitely shaken things up. We might see a whole new wave of indie superheroes popping up now that the big guys don't have a monopoly on the word.
Maybe that's a good thing. Less corporate control, more creative freedom. But let's move on from this legal bullshit. My brain is starting to hurt. Let's talk about the characters themselves. One thing that always pissed me off about superheroes is how fucking homogenous they used to be. It was like a goddamn sea of white dudes in tights.
You're not wrong. The early days of superheroes were pretty damn white and straight, but thankfully things have started to change.
Yeah, it's about damn time. It took them long enough to realize that the world isn't just one giant sausage fest. So when did we finally start seeing some diversity in these comic book pages?
A major turning point was in 1966 when Marvel introduced Black Panther. He was an African king who was a badass superhero and not just some stereotypical caricature. He was a symbol of pride and power for Black people everywhere.
Black Panther was the shit. Wakanda forever. What about other minorities? Did they finally get some love in the superhero world?
Milestone Comics, an African-American-owned company, partnered with DC in 1993 to publish a whole line of comics featuring minority heroes. They introduced Static, who even got his own animated series, Static Shock. It was a huge step forward for representation.
Well, I remember Static Shock.
Yep.
That show was awesome.
Well,
it's cool to see how influential it was in showcasing a Black superhero to a younger generation.
another big moment was in 1992 when North Star, a member of Alpha Flight, became Marvel's first openly gay hero. It was a landmark moment, but it almost didn't happen because of editorial concerns.
Uh-huh.
Can you believe that shit?
Seriously. They almost didn't let a gay superhero exist. What a bunch of homophobic assholes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it was the Dark Ages. It was the goddamn 90s.
It's crazy to think about it now, but back then it was a huge deal. It paved the way for more LGBTQ plus representation in comics. Even Sailor Moon, that anime from Japan, was ahead of the curve with its depiction of LGBTQ plus characters.
Japan was always pushing boundaries. It's a shame it took American comics so long to catch up.
Oh?
But hey, progress is progress, right? Are there any other examples of superheroes breaking the mold? I'm curious to see how far they've come.
There's Sign Gene, a movie from 2017 featuring a group of deaf superheroes who get their powers from using sign language. It's a unique concept that celebrates deaf nature.
Wait, superpowers from sign language. That's fucking brilliant. Sign language is a beautiful and complex language, and it's awesome to see it incorporated into the superhero world in such a badass way.
It really is, and it shows that superheroes can come from all walks of life with all sorts of abilities.
Damn straight. The superhero world is finally starting to look a little bit more like the real world. It only took them like a century to figure it out. But hey, better late than never, right?
It's been a long time coming, but it's great to see these changes.
You know what else I want to talk about? The costumes. Some of those outfits are just plain ridiculous. Who the hell decided that wearing your underwear on the outside was a good look?
Wow.
And don't even get me started on those ridiculous capes. They're like asking to get caught on something.
Well, the whole costume vigilante thing actually predates the classic superhero. You had characters like the Phantom and Spring-Heeled Jack running around in costumes long before Superman showed up.
Spring-Heeled Jack? What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Sounds like some kind of fucked up sex toy.
He was an urban legend in Victorian England. People said he could leap over walls and breathe blue flames. Some even said he had claws and glowing red eyes.
Jesus Christ, that's some creepy shit. I guess Batman doesn't seem so weird now, huh? But you know what I always wondered? Do all superheroes need a costume? It seems like a lot of them are just asking for trouble.
Not necessarily. There are plenty of examples of superpowered individuals who don't wear flashy costumes or hide their identities. Take Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, for example. He rocks the full frontal nudity look.
Full frontal nudity. Talk about a superhero who doesn't skip leg day. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable fighting crime in my birthday suit, though. But it does make you think. What kind of costume would I wear if I was a superhero? I'm thinking maybe a giant beer helmet with laser beams.
I'm sure that would strike fear into the hearts of criminals everywhere.
You know it. But let's talk about female superheroes. They always seem to get a lot of attention. And not always for the right reasons. It's like the comic book world can't decide whether to empower them or just turn them into sex objects.
It's true. The evolution of female superheroes has been complicated. In the early days, they were often just derivatives of their male counterparts. Batwoman, Supergirl, you know the drill. Basically, take a male hero, slap a skirt on them, and bam, you've got a female hero.
Yeah, and don't forget their ridiculously impractical costumes. I mean, high heels and a thong. How the hell are you supposed to fight crime in that getup? It's like they're trying to get killed.
It's a valid point. There's been a lot of hypersexualization of female superheroes over the years, but there have been some positive changes, too.
Like what? Give me some hope here. I'm starting to get depressed.
Well, the rise of feminism in the 60s and 70s had a big impact. Wonder Woman got a major update, becoming a symbol of female empowerment.
Yeah, Linda Carter as Wonder Woman was pretty badass. She could rock that invisible jet like nobody's business. But I feel like even today, a lot of female heroes are still written by dudes who don't really get it.
Unfortunately, that's true. But there are some talented female writers and artists who are creating more complex and nuanced female characters. And you've got movements like the Hawkeye Initiative, which satirizes the ridiculous poses that female characters are often drawn in by redrawing them with male heroes. It's hilarious and thought-provoking at the same time.
The Hawkeye Initiative. That's fucking brilliant. Turning the tables on those sexist artists. I love it. So are there any female superheroes that you actually enjoy? Or are they all just victims of the male gaze?
Oh, absolutely. Captain Marvel is a great example of a strong and independent female hero, and I'm a big fan of Kamala Khan, the new Ms. Marvel. She's a Pakistani-American Muslim teenager who struggles with her identity while trying to be a hero. It's a really refreshing take on the superhero mythos.
Miss Marvel. I'll have to check her out. But you know what? I'm still holding out for a superhero who's a middle-aged woman going through a divorce and struggling to pay her bills.
Now, that's a superhero I think we can all relate to.
Right. It's like, oh no, the rent is due and the supervillain is attacking the city. What do I do?
That's the kind of real-life drama we need in our superhero stories.
Damn straight. But let's get back to this whole superhero trademark thing.
Yeah.
I mean, what does the future hold for superheroes now that those trademarks are being challenged?
Yeah. It's hard to say for sure. But it could mean that we see a whole new wave of indie superheroes popping up. People who wouldn't have dared to use the term before might feel emboldened now.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West of superheroes out there. But you know what else I think is interesting? The definition of superhero might have to evolve as technology advances. I mean, what happens when we have AI that's more powerful than any human being? Are they superheroes? Are they villains?
That's a fascinating question, and it's one that we're going to have to grapple with sooner rather than later. As AI becomes more sophisticated, the lines between human and machine are going to get blurrier and blurrier, and that's going to have a huge impact on how we define heroism.
Yeah, some deep stuff. It's like, what even makes a hero anymore? Is it just about having superpowers? Or is it about something more? Is it about fighting for what's right, even when it's hard? Are we all just meat sacks waiting to be replaced by robots?
It's a question that philosophers have been debating for centuries, and there's no easy answer. But I think at its core, heroism is about using your power, whatever that power may be, to help others. It's about standing up for what you believe in, even when it's dangerous. And it's about inspiring others to do the same.
Yeah, that's pretty profound, dude. You're making me feel all philosophical and shit. I need a drink after that one. We'll be right back after this break to dive deeper into this superhero madness.
It's a question we all got to wrestle with, especially now that AI is breathing down our necks. But for now, let's stick with the flesh and blood kind of hero.
Okay, fine. No robots. But we were talking about what makes a hero right. Is it just about kicking ass and taking names? Or there's something more to it? I mean, you got to have more going on than just a cool costume and some fancy hours, right?
Absolutely. It's about choices. It's about using your power, however big or small, to make a difference. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it's terrifying. And yeah, sometimes it means punching a bad guy in the face.
I can get behind that. But you know what always gets me? The whole secret identity thing. It's like, why the hell bother? It seems like more of a pain in the ass than it's worth.
Well, there are practical reasons. Protecting loved ones from retaliation, maintaining a sense of normalcy outside the mask. But it also taps into something deeper. A duality we all struggle with. The public persona versus the private self. It's like wearing a different mask every day, depending on who you're dealing with.
Man, that's deep.
Yeah.
So it's not just about hiding from the bad guys. It's about hiding from ourselves, too. That's some existential shit right there.
Maybe. But let's not get too philosophical here. We've got a mountain of superhero craziness to unpack. What else about these spandex-clad weirdos has you scratching your head?
All right, let's talk about sidekicks. Seriously, what's the deal with those little bastards? Are they just there to get kidnapped and make the hero's life even more miserable? It seems like more of a liability than an asset.
That's a cynical way of looking at it. But you're not entirely wrong. Historically, sidekicks were often used to appeal to younger readers or provide comic relief. And yeah, they were often damsels in distress waiting to be rescued. But there's another way to see it. Sidekicks represent mentorship legacy, the passing of the torch. They embody the idea that anyone can be a hero, even if they're not the main attraction.
Okay, I guess that's a little less depressing. But speaking of depressing, let's talk about the dark side of superheroism. I mean, these guys are always dealing with death, destruction, and some seriously fucked up villains. How the hell do they stay sane?
That's a question that a lot of writers have explored. The psychological toll of being a superhero is immense. They're constantly exposed to trauma, violence, and loss. They often struggle with PTSD, isolation, and a sense of futility. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure.
No kidding. It's like you save the world from a giant alien invasion, and then you go home and try to pay your bills and deal with relationship drama. Talk about a buzzkill.
Exactly. It's a constant battle, both internally and externally, and that's what makes them compelling characters. They're not perfect. They're flawed. They make mistakes. They suffer. But they keep fighting, even when it seems hopeless.
Okay. I can respect that. But let's move on to something a little more lighthearted. Superpowers. What are some of the weirdest, most ridiculous superpowers you've come across in your research? I'm talking about powers that are so useless they're almost funny.
Oh, there are plenty of those. There's Matter Eater Lad, who can literally eat anything. Not exactly helpful in a fight unless you're facing a giant sentient burrito. Then there's Arm Fall Off Boy, whose only power is, well, you can guess.
Arm fall off boy.
Yeah.
Seriously, what the fuck kind of superpower is that? It's like the opposite of being a superhero. It's like being a super liability.
Don't underestimate the power of a detachable limb. It could come in handy in a tight spot. You never know.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. That's just pathetic. But you know what else is pathetic? Superhero love lives.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are always falling for the wrong people, getting their hearts broken and dealing with all kinds of relationship drama. It's like they're allergic to happiness.
Superhero relationships are a minefield. There's the whole secret identity issue, the danger involved, the clash of personalities. It's not easy being in love with someone who can fly or shoot lasers out of their eyes.
No kidding. Imagine trying to explain to your therapist why your boyfriend keeps disappearing for days at a time to fight interdimensional demons. They'd probably lock you up.
It's definitely not your average relationship. But there are some iconic superhero couples out there. Superman and Lois Lane Spider-Man and Mary Jane Batman and Catwoman. They all have their own unique dynamics and challenges.
Yeah, those are the classics. But I'm more interested in the weird, messed up relationships. Like, what about that time Joker kidnapped Harley Quinn and brainwashed her into becoming his psychotic sidekick? That's some seriously fucked up shit right there.
The Joker and Harley Quinn relationship is a fascinating, albeit disturbing, example of toxic codependency. It's a case study in manipulation abuse and the complexities of mental illness.
Okay, that's getting a little too dark for me. Let's move on to something more fun. What about the villains? Who are some of the most badass, memorable supervillains of all time? I'm talking about the guys who make you root for the bad guy just a little bit.
Oh, there are so many great villains to choose from. Magneto, Thanos, the Joker, Lex Luthor. They're all complex, intelligent, and driven by their own unique motivations. They're not just evil for the sake of being evil. They believe in what they're doing, even if it means destroying the world.
That's what makes them so compelling. They're not just cardboard cutouts. They're real characters with their own flaws, desires, and complexities.
It's like Shakespeare, but with superpowers and explosions.
Exactly. And a great villain can make a superhero story truly unforgettable. They challenge the hero's beliefs, push them to their limits, and force them to confront their own darkness. You know, we've talked a lot about the serious stuff, but let's not forget that superhero comics are also about pure entertainment. They're supposed to be fun, exciting, and escapist. I mean, who doesn't love a good superhero brawl with epic battles, crazy powers, and over-the-top villains?
Absolutely. Superhero comics are a form of escapism, a way to explore fantastical worlds and larger-than-life characters. They allow us to imagine what it would be like to have superpowers fight for justice and overcome seemingly insurmountable odds.
And just plain cool. I mean, who hasn't fantasized about flying through the air, shooting webs from their wrists, or being invisible?
Yeah.
Superheroes tap into our primal desires for power, freedom, and adventure.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Superheroes represent the ultimate wish fulfillment. They embody our hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And they remind us that even in the face of adversity, we can always choose to be heroes in our own lives.
Damn, that's a good point. We may not have superpowers, but we can still make a difference in the world. We can stand up for what's right, help those in need, and fight for a better future.
Exactly. And that's the true legacy of superheroes. They inspire us to be better, to strive for greatness, and to never give up hope.
Okay, enough with the inspirational speeches. I'm starting to feel like I'm at a goddamn self-help seminar. Let's wrap this up with a final thought. What's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this deep dive into the world of superheroes?
I want them to remember that superheroes are more than just entertainment. They're a reflection of our culture, our values, and our hopes for the future. They can inspire us, challenge us, and make us think about the world in new ways.
Well said. And for those of you listening, remember, you don't need a cape or a fancy costume to be a hero.
Yeah.
Just be a good person. Stand up for what you believe in, and don't be a dick. That's all it takes. Peace out.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Being a decent human being, that's the real superpower.
Okay, before we get all warm and fuzzy inside, I gotta ask, what about the future of these superhero motherfuckers? I mean, with all this AI shit popping off and those trademarks getting tossed out the window, are we even gonna recognize these guys in 10 years?
It's a wild card, man. The whole landscape's shifting. We might see a flood of new superheroes, maybe even some AI-powered ones. Imagine a superhero run by a goddamn algorithm.
That's some freaky shit right there. A superhero who can calculate the optimal ass-kicking strategy. No more emotional baggage, no more moral dilemmas, just pure cold-blooded efficiency.
That's one possibility. Or maybe we'll see a return to the basics, more grounded stories, less universe-ending threats. Maybe the real heroes are the ones who fight for social justice, protect the environment, or just make their communities a little bit better.
You're starting to sound like one of those hippy-dippy save-the-world types.
Yeah.
But, hey, maybe you're right. Maybe the next generation of superheroes won't be wearing spandex and punching bad guys. Maybe they'll be scientists, activists, or even just regular people who choose to do the right thing even when it's hard.
There's a thought. Heroism in the everyday. Not about capes and lasers, but about compassion, courage, and standing up for what you believe in.
Damn, that's actually pretty profound. You're making me think I should go volunteer in a soup kitchen or something. Nah, just kidding. But seriously, it's cool to think that anyone can be a hero even without superpowers.
That's the beauty of it. It's not about extraordinary abilities. It's about extraordinary choices. It's about recognizing that we all have the potential to make a difference, even in small ways.
Okay, I'm starting to get a little too choked up here. Let's wrap this shit up before I start crying.
Yeah.
So for those of you who stuck with us through this deep dive into the world of superheroes, what's the main takeaway?
Simple. These spandex-wearing weirdos, they're more than just entertainment. They're a mirror to our own hopes, fears, and dreams. And they remind us that even in a world full of darkness, there's always a spark of heroism waiting to be ignited.
All right, that's enough of that deep shit. Time to go back to our regularly scheduled programming of cynicism and debauchery. But hey, if you happen to see someone in need, maybe give them a helping hand. You know, just for shits and giggles. Who knows, maybe you'll even feel good about it. Till next time, stay weird, stay awesome, and don't forget to wear your underwear on the inside. Peace out.